All right, guys, we are hopefully live on YouTube. We're going to be doing a different show today. Our last video, we just had one. We started it, it dropped. We had an issue with the sound, so we figured we start over. But quick intro. So I'm trying to make something in Unity. I'd like to learn it again. I've done about 200 hours in it before in my lifetime, but spread out through about 10 years or so. And I have forgotten a lot of things. So we wanted to do a video where I asked Sean, and thanks to Sean here because he's going to put the work in and show us some things. But he's been doing Unity for quite a while, and he's made some games with it. He's released a game with it, at least one, and he knows a lot. But I wanted to kind of just do a rundown, have him help me with trying to learn the basics in Unity again, show me his projects, kind of talk about some tricks and things, and just get familiar with it and ask some questions. So if you guys have any questions, we will try to answer them in the comments. So go ahead and jump in there. We're jumping live here. We didn't schedule this, so hopefully we have some people trickle in so you guys can ask some questions. So I'll turn it over to Sean, and Sean can go ahead and
Yeah.
get us started.
Yeah. So we were talking about your new project that you were starting, and it has a lot of 3D elements. So we were talking about you jumping over to Unity. And I remember the last couple of times you were talking about jumping over to Unity, the curve of getting started feels really daunting. And it's really hard to find help out there for if you're just you may be a programmer, but if you're new to Unity, the help out there is overwhelming. So one of the things I thought would be a good idea as we were talking about doing this video is just show the game I'm working on right now, Head Coach. It's a very interface driven game, and just how do you start a project like this, and what are the things to remember and the keys, and how do you not overthink it and make it more complicated than it needs to be. But then also, if we have some time, jump over to Cyber League and show how that's a completely different kind of game in Unity. And if that's the direction you want to go, just again, how do you not overthink it? How do you make it simple? So, first off, we'll just start off. This is Head Coach Football. There's not a whole lot in it yet. In fact, let me just bring up, we'll just bring up something simple. Actually, we'll just bring up the schedule. Um, I'm in play mode. That's not helping. All right. Yeah. First step is know what you're doing in your in your interface. All right. So this is Head Coach Football. It's a football game, right? There's a little schedule screen. It's just got a bunch of UI elements on it. That's not super hard to do. I think anybody, once you open up Unity, it's pretty easy to add panels and text and things like that. But the trick here is for a game like this, it's going to be very button heavy, right? You can make a whole game in Unity, and I have like Desktop Dynasties 1 is basically a whole game made with buttons, right? So like I hover on these little buttons on my menu here, they highlight. If I click on them, they do some sort of click event. Right now, all it does is just highlight the button, right? But this is super easy in Unity, and you don't have to overthink it. I got buttons up here, right? You click on it and they do clicky things. These are just text indicators and things like that. But what I want to get across here is you can make a whole game like this and you don't have to make it really complicated. And when you go on the internet and you start searching for tips about doing things in Unity, it can really quickly get overwhelming and it's too much. And that ends up being, I know you were telling me a while ago, you were kind of trying to follow some of these things and it just got too much. It was too complicated and it was really hard to, I guess, get the motivation to overcome that hump. And one of the things I saw is you're just kind of like reading too many things and it was just too hard. And Unity can be as easy as you want to make it. So, right. So just real quickly, what we're going to go through here is just the basics of setting up a real, like an interface or button controlled game, right?
Right.
There's all my buttons. I click on them, it does something. It's just that simple. How do we do that? Well, first off, my side menu over here, I just have a game object called side menu. Like that's all it is, right? You just create an empty game object and it's called side menu. And within that, I add a whole bunch of buttons. All these are buttons. They're not complicated. They're just buttons. Um, and if I go into one of them, so like if I open it up, you can see I got the button face. It's just a button, right? You click on it. There's nothing complicated. It's got text next to the button, and it's got a little image where I have the icon. But it's just a button that I've added other stuff to, right? So how do you make a button do something, right? All you really do is you create a little script. In fact, I'll do it right in the middle so you can see. Right? I'll go to my main panel and I'll create a button. Button. The difference between Text Mesh Pro button and a regular button is just what kind of text is in it, right? This is a Text Mesh Pro text. So we'll do it like this. We'll just put the text in the middle. Test button. Not complicated.
So real quick,
Yeah.
So we're showing Desktop Dynasties 2 or whatever this is going to turn into, right? This is head coach football, I guess. But you're showing me a 2D. Is it a 2D camera view right now?
This is the 2D interface camera view. Yes. Because your interface is always 2D.
Right. So when you go into Unity, though, Unity is all like 3D. And I know on the top left, you have your 2D button there.
Yep. Now it's 3D. Yep.
So then if you wanted to go from like this screen to like Cyber Football or Cyber League, can you do it all in one project? And if so, how does that work? You make a new scene at that point?
So when you say, let's say you wanted to go from this screen to like a 3D stuff. Oh yeah, you absolutely can. So here's the trick. This is what they don't really tell you. Unity's 3D. Even your interface is 3D. You can see right now.
Like I recall that. Yeah. But I forget
see, I'm going around my interface
between each one. Yeah.
The 2D up here is just what are you looking at in the editor, right? So I'm just looking at 2D in the editor. But if in the game, it's always 3D. So here's a good example. I can let's just add a 3D object, right? Let's create a cube just because it's easy to see that it's 3D.
And real quick though, for what I remember with Unity, it's like a hog on my computer. I don't know why. Is it really hard to run this application, or was it just my computer can run any game, so I don't understand what was happening there. But you're on a laptop.
Unity itself is kind of a hog.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. It kind of is. Yeah. Like my computer's pretty good, so it runs okay for me. But a lot of people do have issues with it, especially if you're starting a new project. It's kind of a pain.
Okay.
So let me turn my canvas off so you can see. Where's my 3D object? So let's just put the camera on the 3D object, right? So we'll take my main camera and we'll align it with the view. So now in the game, when I hit play, we see my little cube, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I turn my interface back on, and this canvas is the interface, the canvas is the 2D overlay of your 3D world. So think of it that way, right? It's whatever your 3D world is, you put a 2D canvas, right? A 2D thing on top of it. So now you see my interface here. But if I pause it, and let's just turn off my interface, you see the cube is still there. I'm just overlaying my interface on top of it. So it's always a 3D world. Just when your interface is turned on, it's laying on top of the 3D world. So going between your interface and your like Cyber League, right? It's just a matter of hiding your interface. You can see through it to the 3D world that exists out there.
Okay. But
right,
the canvas,
so that's all it is, right?
Is canvas on your tree there, on your resource tree, is that an empty object?
Canvas is actually required if you put any interface stuff on there. So the second you add a button, Unity automatically adds the canvas. You don't have to do anything to do that. The canvas tells the game where to put this interface, right? Puts it on the overlay. There's other options, but this is basically how does your interface cover up the 3D world when it's on? That's what the canvas is.
Okay, so if you had like a UI where like the game I showed you where you have like fuel and things like that,
Yep.
how do you do both? Like how do you show the UI plus the game behind it?
Yep. So
Just
let's
like just
turn
like your
off.
play call screens, on
Yeah.
any game you've done before.
Yep. I turned off all my elements, right? So now I have this canvas that's completely see-through, right? There's my cube.
Hmm.
What you can do is you can do something like this. Let's just say, or I'll go in 2D mode so I can see what I'm working on in the UI. And let's just say I want to add a panel for maybe it's a mini map, right? So I shrink my panel up there.
So real quick, it automatically knows what screen size to like do the full UI on. Like where's that setting? Is that in the canvas?
Yep, that's in the canvas. So I have my canvas set up.
Okay.
Well, your canvas is whatever your resolution is. That's over here. Right.
So when
So
you
I think
create
it
the canvas,
starts.
or when you create the canvas, it automatically fills up your entire resolution. You don't have to worry about.
Yeah, the canvas always covers up your whole screen.
That's pretty intuitive. I mean,
Always.
like in
Yep.
Game Maker, you have to like really like configure that stuff like on your own. It's not just that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. So then within the canvas, what I like to do is I always put a background in my canvas just so I can see how big the canvas is. Right. So I kind of like make it kind of transparent. So when I'm making things, I know where to put them and stuff like that.
Are you
So
making
like I
those
know this
backgrounds
is,
on your own, or you're getting assets for that stuff? That looks pretty good. That background you have.
yeah, I got this. I have a couple packages, UI packages. So I've got this package for icons. I got a GUI pack, clean and minimalist GUI pack, and then I got a UI builder. It's just a bunch of buttons and icons and things like that and backgrounds that I can use. And I bought this one like 5-6 years ago. Same with the UI builder. I've been reusing them forever.
It looks really good what you're doing with the new version. I like it.
Thanks. Yeah, I like it.
All right, so
Yeah,
you're creating a panel, and then
I create a panel. Let's say I create another panel down here, and let's say that's gonna be my inventory, right? Just for example. Now, when I play, you can see they only cover up the part of the screen where I put them. You could still see the 3D through it. So when creating a UI, it's really just about putting the elements where you want to see them on the screen, and anywhere where there's not an element, you're still in the 3D world. So that's part of what makes Unity so easy is like,
but now a panel, what would you use a panel for in this case?
I use panels for everything. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll say, all right, here's a panel, and then inside the panel, I'll put text, right? This will be mini map, right? And then I put the text somewhere, and then maybe inside the panel, I'll add another panel, right? And then I'll like, this will be that bigger panel's like the border of my mini map. The smaller panel is that, and maybe I want that to be green, right? And all you're really doing is just building up UI elements on top of each other, and the end effect is whatever you want your UI to look like.
Wow. But those
So, like,
panels, do they have any
down
kind of
here,
behavior to them, or they're just like little like
panels are just pictures.
Okay.
That's all. But like you can do the same thing with buttons, right? So this lower panel, I'm going to add a couple buttons maybe. Maybe I want this to be my inventory or my control, right? I've got some I don't know, powers, or I got some skills or something. I'll put all those down in the lower panel as buttons. And now I can click my buttons in the lower panel.
Oh, they automatically work with your mouse?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right out of the box. I didn't do anything. I don't have to do anything. Buttons automatically work with the mouse.
And so you can trigger those clicks to do something, obviously.
Yep. And the way you do that is there's this button script on every single button, right? You go to a panel, it's just a picture. It doesn't do anything. You go to a button, it's got this button script, and the button script does all the heavy lifting. And then there's this on click,
Mm-hmm.
and all that is you tell it what to do when you click. You put a little plus to give it an action. And you say, all right, well, where is the script that's going to tell it what to do? And just for fun, let's just say my side menu. Let's put that in there, right? So the information, the instructions, what happens when I click on this button? It's going to go to side menu. And then I go to function and I go to my side menu. And these are all of the public functions I have in side menu. And maybe I tell it to select button, right? Boom. Now, anytime I click this button, it's going to go to side menu and it's going to run select button. It's like, it's just that easy. Now this button will call that function anytime I click it. And I could inside that function have stuff like, like if you're making a cyber league football, right? And I wanted to make a button controlled, and maybe I have a button that says throw ball. As soon as I click this button, right under side menu, I have a public function that says throw ball. As soon as I click it, it'll throw the ball. Okay. So if you did nothing else but just used buttons, like Desktop Dynasty 1 is set up so every single thing you do is a button. It's exactly what I just did right now. Each button goes to a different script and calls a different function, but that's it. That's the only control I have in Desktop Dynasties 1 is just buttons everywhere.
So when you go from
so easy.
When you go from screen to screen in Unity, you don't change scenes. It's all the same scene. You just change different panels.
Yep, I'll show you how I do that too.
And you can fade it. Can you like fade in and out and stuff like that? Like do like cool transitions or no?
You can. I don't do that, but you can. A lot of people do that. Okay. Let me turn on all my stuff and let's get rid of my test button. So what I'll do is this is a good example. So in my Pro League, I have this little container for all my Pro League screens, right? All I do is I turn them on. There's standings. Now maybe I go over here and I click Pro Schedule. In the script, what I'll do this button points to that function on the menu that says Show Pro Schedule. What that script will do is it will turn off standings, turn on schedule. That's it. That's all it will do. Or it might like call a refresh on the schedule just to refresh the schedule. But like switching screens is just a matter of turn off the interface you don't want to see and turn on the one you do. That's it. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. Now, some people use some people use scene transitions. I found that overly complicated. And it's harder to manage. I just turn off the stuff I don't want to see and turn on the stuff I do.
So like when you turn on this screen, for instance, you need to load all the data, don't you? Like when do you load?
I always have the data loaded. Always. Oh. So what it'll show is, I don't have it here. Actually, you know what? Let me save this.
So like when you turn them on and off.
Stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to load up Cyber League so you can see this. It gets a little more advanced in Cyber League, and I'll show you exactly what you're asking.
Because when you load up a screen, are you like disabling and enabling the screen so you lose like you release the memory at that point, right? But you're saying you keep it all in memory.
Yep, keep it all in memory. Now you'll see this a lot on Unity tips. People will talk about releasing memory and like, well, it's not optimized. You're wasting memory. There's garbage allocation. Like you'll hear a lot. You'll read a lot of those things. And the fact of the matter is, like, a lot of those problems are so small that you don't need to worry about it. You're overthinking things a lot of times when people talk about, garbage allocation and releasing memory and using memory and all that stuff. You don't have to do that these days, right? Unless you're making something for Nintendo Switch, which is super limited on memory and processing, you don't really need to worry about it. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at is like making a game in Unity is actually very easy if you let it be easy. If you follow every expert out there's advice about optimizing every little thing, you'll make yourself crazy, and
Right.
you just don't have to. You can make a whole game with buttons and panels. That's it. Buttons, panels, and text. You don't need anything more. Yeah, I'm loading up Cyber League. Cyber League takes a little while to load, so that's why I stopped sharing.
But like, so let's get back to what we were talking about. So if you have a screen that has all of that data, like the standings screen,
Yeah.
you have it all loaded, but then you have to like refresh that data, right? So you probably have a script that like says, okay, go to the game or go to another menu, and then when you come back to standings before you show it, you're obviously doing some changes to the data, correct?
Yeah, that in fact I'm loading Cyber League to show you that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it I actually have all the data loaded all the time. Data for hey, what happened to my camera?
I don't know, like whoever's if you're watching
That's
the
weird.
stream or you're watching the video, like everything about the display that we have is being thrown everywhere.
It's so weird. Yeah.
So it's
I
like
will just
everything's
turn my
getting
camera off
lost.
for now. No big deal.
But whatever you were doing last time where you were sharing your screen,
Yeah, I'll share soon as Cyber League loads up. Cyber League's kind of a big project, so it takes a little while to load.
yeah, it's fine. I'm just saying once you get back to that, things will look better on the screen for the
Yeah.
people.
I'll while we're kind of talking about that, I'm gonna jump over and see if we got any questions.
We don't have any like comments or questions. We have I think 5 people.
That's okay.
But that's fine. No, I just don't know. I always just want to make sure it's working. And
Yeah,
if
yeah.
anyone's watching, you know, if you can just pop a comment in there, that way we know we're alive.
Yeah, we could just be talking to ourselves, which has been known to happen.
I think it's working though. I mean,
I think it
we're
is.
becoming pros with this.
Oh yeah,
You know.
we're so good at this.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we got some. Thanks, guys. I know it's a very informative type of video, so we're not going to be bashing Madden or doing anything fun. But if you want to make a game or play around with Unity, if here's one thing I can tell you guys: if you like video games and you want to do something that's constructive, productive, fun, like I have replaced. I think Sean and I both have replaced and substituted gaming. Like a lot of our gaming time has gone into making games, and it's a
Oh
fun
yeah.
creative
100%.
outlet. You know, it's cool to
Oh
it's cool to
yeah.
do that. You know, it is. Anyways,
It's actually more fun for me now to make games than to play games. It's so weird. Like I love working on head coach and desktop dynasties. It's like it's almost like playing it for me. It's so weird.
you're okay. So you did something with full screen before that is different now. I think that and then your camera's still off for some reason. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. My camera's not being picked up by you anymore for some reason.
It's not being picked up by the Google Meet actually.
Yeah.
So something changed.
Oh well, we'll just keep my camera off for right now.
Okay.
No big deal.
We'll see your
My
avatar.
camera's a little sketchy, anyways.
See, it's that Unity. It's eating up all your resources, man.
Yeah, I found my camera gets locked every once in a while, so that happens. That's no big deal. I'm not that great to look at today. All right, so Cyber League. So you were talking about when you switch scenes, and as you can see right here, I'll just to reiterate, right? This is my welcome screen. It's just a game object under the canvas. Right there's my canvas. Welcome screen. When I don't want to see welcome, I go to quick play. I turn off welcome and I turn on quick play. Right? Turn off quick play, turn on ladder challenge. Like these are all just screens I built out of panels and buttons and things like that. So if we go to welcome, one of the things you asked, like, well, where's all the data? I always have all the data loaded because, obviously this is a team sport, right? So I actually have game objects that are teams. And I do this for all my football games is there's just, all it is a script, and I can even bring the script up so you can see what it looks like. I have a blank game object with this script attached, and it's just a bunch of public variables to describe what the team is. It's things like Team location, it's just a string, right? Team name, how much cash, what's the roster value, right? What colors are we using? I have an enum for like what's the style of offense and defense, integers for what level, right? And you just go down the list, and it's all it really is a bunch of variables that you can see in the inspector now that define what this team is. So if we look at like let's pick the Cyborg because they're a little more interesting, right? Team ID, right? What's the team name? Default cache. Like I have a field for what's their logo, all their colors, their style of offense, their style of defense, right? And then you go down to like the levels, default level for this team. They start with a level 2 quarterback. They start with a level 4 running back. And go down the list, right? Here's all the damage that they've sustained during the game. Now, why does that matter? Well, that matters because anytime I go into any of these screens, like let's just say ladder challenge, right? And this will work for the same for like an NFL type game with standings, right? You'll have wins and losses and things like that. I go into ladder challenge and I want to update this with teams, right? And each team is going to have a roster value. Each team is going to have different levels of things, right? Think of that like in an NFL, each team will have different players of different values. All I do is go to these objects and pull the data, right? They exist in my game all the time because you're right. My game is a league of teams. So those teams exist as game objects and data containers. And anytime I go to a standing screen or a quick play screen, right? I go to quick play, you get their strengths and stuff. Screens, I just figure out which teams are important to show. I go to these team objects and I just pull the data right off the team. Right? An NFL game, it would work the same way. So you go to the team object and you have something like season wins, season losses, points for, points against, conference wins, conference losses. They're just data on the team. Go to the standings, you go to each team, you pull the data out and you display it on the screen. Like it's really just that easy. So you don't have to release memory, load memory every screen you go to. It really just becomes a matter of which screen do I want to show, right? I want to show season mode. So I turn it on. Part of the refresh of season mode is which teams do I care about? Go to those teams, pull the important data out and show it on the screen. It's really just that easy. You don't have to overthink this.
So in real, like, can you just show me like the inner, like for one of the easier screens, like that pulls the team object data? Can you just show me like, is there a script that you're using to get that data?
So let's go to my quick play screen, right? Because it's two teams, shows two teams. I got this refresh screen. It just, every time I call that, it just updates the screen with new data. Refresh the team card, right? I go to the team cards, right? Which two teams am I refreshing, right? Selected team 1, selected team 2. Okay. On the card itself, all I do is, right, set the team name text to my team, which is that data, that team data, and I pull the team name itself, right? It's just a string on team data. So if I go to my team controller that I showed you, team name is right there. It's just that string that I have stored on the team. The card just pulls that string and sticks it on the card. The logo, same thing. I go to that team, pull the logo, stick it on the card. Position materials, I do the same thing. I go to the team, pull what level they are, stick it on the card.
Where's the refresh card? How does that connect to that, to the Unity to the other side again, to that screen? Yeah, the panel or whatever you call it.
It gets a little. This is where we start getting into organization, right? You don't want to do too much on any one thing because you want to make it a little reusable.
Right.
So on my quick play screen, this is just all the stuff on my quick play screen, but there's this team card. Team card big is literally that card.
I
right? You
can
can see
tell
it
by the
highlighted.
name of your objects that you're not really not to say sloppy, but I can tell you move fast through here. Like those names, like controller team one, parenthesis one. I know that those are just copies, right? So like
Yeah,
you fly through this stuff. You don't care
yeah, I
about
don't
the
really
names.
care what it's called. You know, it's
Yeah.
not that complicated. I don't overthink things.
Because you don't
I
have
know that
to.
on this screen there are 8 controllers, right? I
Right.
know 4 of them are team 1, 4 of them are team 2.
And I'm
The
bringing that
naming
up just because
convention, yeah.
I want to make sure that like how important is it to name these things? And it doesn't seem like it's
It's not.
super important, right?
Oh, no. It's only important if you want something to be reused.
Like if
So
you're
like
sharing it with
team
another like person, you want it to look good. I mean,
or
I know code
yourself.
name or I know code names you want like code you want it to be as clean as you can, but like
Yeah,
this part
yeah.
is like this is pretty
Yeah, these
intuitive.
game objects, like I still have text TMP too. Like,
Right.
because I know I'm never gonna reference this text object anywhere. So like who cares what it's called? It
Right,
doesn't
right.
matter. But
Yeah.
team card big, I use this several different places. So team card big is meaningful because now I know that anytime I need a big team card, this is the one to use.
Right.
So I only
So
spend
when
my
it ties to
energy
the
on things
code,
that matter.
it needs to be readable. But I guess yeah, from that's where that's where this would only come up when you have somebody like me, a third party coming in, looking at it, saying, okay, this looks complicated. It looks so it's so like weird looking, and it looks so like you know, just the naming conventions are all over the
Yeah.
place. So it looks to me, it looks more complicated and more confusing. But that's just because I what you just said. So okay, so when you
Yeah.
come into this screen you like how do you get back to that refresh that we were talking about earlier? Where's that happen?
So on each screen, I have that screen is script, right? There's a script on the screen that controls that screen only. So like
Okay.
every screen has one. There's a welcome menu, has a welcome menu script. Quick play's got a quick play screen script. Ladder's got ladder challenge screen script. So on that screen is where the refresh screen is, right? On the screen script. So if I go to quick play screen, that's where refresh is. Every screen does that.
But
And
where's it being called from? Like where's the first call that's made to that refresh screen
I
method?
have a screen manager. So when in the game, when I go to anywhere, so like when I click quick play, anywhere that I go to, let's just use quick play as the example. Anywhere where I want to go and jump to the quick play screen, I go to this thing that I call the screen manager, and I have something that says show quick play. Just that easy.
So go back to the other screen again. Where's the show quick play connection happening?
That's way up here. I have this global stuff, which is just screen manager. So this is the way I do it. And like Unity, people, professional like AAA game developers will probably scream at me for this, but I've found that I try not to overthink things. I just have one game object that controls all my global stuff. And I have this screen manager on my global object. And all the screen manager does is just, I wanted a single place to show screens, so I didn't have to always hunt around. So I have this screen manager that anytime I want to show a screen, I go to the screen manager and I say, show quick play. And the screen manager will say, okay, show quick play, hide all the screens I have open right now. Make sure my interface background is on, set some variables, but then basically quick play refresh screen is the last thing it does.
Can I see the hide all screens method real quick?
Huh?
Can I see the hide all screens method real quick?
Yeah.
Just to see. That's probably a simple turn on off.
Hide all screens. It's not complicated.
Set
I
active.
basically take every screen and turn it off. That's it.
Okay, this is pretty simple, and I remember a lot of it. I mean, I know there's organization. I mean, listen, any code you do in C#, any kind of OOP language type of thing, you need to know your stuff a little bit. You got to be organized. You don't want to be an idiot.
A lot of it's just preference on how you want to organize things. But
right, but then you got like public and static and private and all those different types of
professional AAA guys yell at me all the time for how I do this.
Yeah, but okay, so let me.
It's so simple. Right?
So let me ask you this question. So I want you to leave and come back from this because I want to see your face if I can do that. I mean, can you just
All
jump
right,
out of this meet and come back?
hang on a second. I think I gotta unplug my camera real quick.
Okay. All right. Let me see. What do I want to do?
All right, let's see. Let's see if this works. Oh no! All right, I'll be right back.
Just leave the Google Meet and come back. I think that might
Okay.
work. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Spud 1129. We're gonna ask Sean that question in a second because there you go. Back, baby. That makes me feel better. So
yeah, I think my camera's on a little hub, and I think the hub sometimes locks it up.
oh, the USB hubs.
Yeah, I don't have enough USBs on my computer, so I got those dumb little hubs.
So okay, I lost your it's funny, I can see your camera. This is we're not pros, obviously, as you can see, but where is here we go. I just need to reset your camera to here, maybe. Oh, I see what's happening. You're hold on. You are
Yeah, I'm gonna move my camera off the hub. It looks like I locked up again.
okay.
All right, hang on. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So Spud, we're gonna get to your question in just a second. This is a mess, I know. I'm trying to get like this screen I want him to look at because I want to just test Sean here. See if he's going to help me out with something. So
Ugh. All right. I'm back.
all right. You're back.
No.
Okay, there you go. And then it's so weird. Let's do that. All right. Okay, I can see you good there. I can see you well there. This one. Okay, let's do this. Why can't I?
Let me jump over to the chat and see if there's any questions.
Yeah, there's a question about Unity. Can you use Unity without any code knowledge? Do they have like a object?
I think you need some code knowledge. Because I'm thinking, so what I'm thinking is if you set the easiest thing you could do is set it up so that it uses just buttons to do everything, but each button needs to call something. And you need some way of pushing data to the text fields at let's just say you made a text sim, right? The easiest thing you could or the simplest thing you could possibly make. You still need to push text somewhere, and you still need to respond to buttons, and that requires a tiny amount of code knowledge. Now, I'm going to kind of go back on that and say Unity has Bolt now, which is a visual scripting language. So you still kind of need to know how to program, but you can do it visually with Bolt. So I guess it's kind of, you got to know something about programming, whether you use code or whether you use Bolt is kind of your choice. But in the end, it's the same thing, really. You know, like a for loop is the same in code as it is using Bolt's for loop block.
Okay. So you can, but you have to learn some things to get there.
You got to learn kind of how to make the data move around. But yeah, if you don't actually want to write code, you could use Bolt, I guess, or whatever
Okay.
they're calling it now. I think it's still Bolt.
Bolt. That's a weird name, but okay.
It is a visual scripting for Unity. That's kind of like the Unreal visual scripting. It's kind of the same thing.
Okay, so
used to be called Bolt before Unity bought them.
So I'm doing all of this stupid thing just to get this screen. I want to show, I'm going to ask you something, and here we go. So let's do this. Can you see?
Yep.
What I'm showing?
I see it.
Can you see what I'm checking?
Yeah, it shows up on the stream too.
Yeah. So let's just leave it at that. So my question is, if I were to jump into Unity and I wanted to let's say I wanted to start this project, and I'm talking about like cubes and UI. Is there a quick way you can open up a blank project and just like show me like a quick, I think I know what I would do based off of the UI you were just showing. You would create a canvas for all that green, UI stuff. You would have the background be your regular 3D scene. And like if I wanted to just drop in a few buildings, drop in a like a truck or something like that, and have like even movement code. Like where could you recommend I get some kind of movement code, or would I build that myself? Is there a quick way you could do that in Unity real quick?
Yourself.
I want to build it myself, right?
Well, I mean, you could download. Let me take that back. If these are all cars and things like that, there's tons of car controllers, vehicle controllers out there. If they're all going to be controlled by like a gamepad, super easy to do. You could just download any number of vehicle controllers. If these are going to be AI driven, or you're going to do anything that isn't just a normal driving game, you're probably going to end up writing most of it yourself. But it's not that hard. Movement in Unity is actually super easy once you just get the gist, the basic gist. I'm looking to see if I have.
Like, how quick would it be? This would help me a lot if we could do it. Like, how quick would it be for you to open up a blank project and just show me, like, not exactly this, of course, but like just like what you did before with the UI, where you were showing the few panels. Like, could you open up a brand new project and just walk me through 5 minutes of, just creating a canvas with a few, like, just recreate this as basic as you can, and maybe like, if there's a quick way to do a movement, show me maybe, and then that'll probably be enough for me to get going. I don't know if you could do that quickly though.
I'll start up a new project here. Nobody wants to watch Unity
load
resolve packages, so we'll wait till it's done before I share my screen.
Yeah, I got to figure out, because when I downloaded that one scene, because I bought some stuff from them too, and I bought this like huge scene that had like a mountain and all this cool stuff, and like rivers and like streams, and when I loaded it, man, like my whole computer choked, and I'm like, what makes Unity run fast? Because it was a nightmare for me to just run it. And my computer has it's 6 years old now, but it's fully loaded. Like, it has everything.
My computer's about that old too, so weird.
And I can run any game on the highest settings.
Package real quick too, just so that I have something to put into the game.
Okay. Because here's the way this would be, right? This would be, you have your truck, and you can either use a gamepad, which probably would be the best, or it could be WASD, which I know is going to sound bad, and then like your mouse can shoot. Like, it's the same way I'm making that game I'm making right now, like the one that I showed you, the top down. And you use your mouse to swing around your gun, right? Like your gun on top, and you can either use WASD, or you can use the controller same way as the game. Right stick is your mouse, left stick is your movement. How hard would it be to, like I said, to just like, and I know I'm asking you a lot here, but like,
that's all right.
Like if I was in Game Maker, I could probably pull this up in like 15 minutes max, like get something that looks like a little prototype. And I'm not talking about like it's going to be perfect. I'm just saying, like, just put a block down, put the UI like elements up front, and I would be able to show you pretty quickly at least how this would be set up. Now the movement and the controllers and all that stuff that takes more time, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like in Unity or in Game Maker, you have like a room which is like the equivalent of your scene, right? So you
Yep.
have a room, everything works in rooms, just like you have scenes. Like just think of them as the same thing. And you have a room that in that room you have a room size. So your entire like map, your world, which is like your scene, you have a size. And I don't know, in Unity, do you have like when you go to a scene, is the scene like this infinite space, or do you have like a boundaries, like dimensions for the scene?
It's infinite space. All right,
Oh,
I got it up now. So let me share. We'll share my whole screen. Why not?
all right, let me go back to the other one then. If you're gonna share, this should hopefully work.
I'll turn that off.
Okay.
All right, let me know when you got it.
I got it.
Okay. So all I did was I started a new project called Havo Test, right? Up here in the corner, you can see brand new. Nothing else, nothing, I didn't do anything else except I downloaded one of my assets, just a Polygon spy set because it's got a car and a guy. That's all. Right. I didn't install anything else. I just downloaded some models. So when you start up Unity, you got this infinite void, right? There's this infinite void. It's just, it goes on forever. So to answer your first question, yes, you have infinite amount of space. I'm going to move my hierarchy over here just because I like it over on the side. So like if I just make a random generic 3D cube, there's my 3D cube. It shows up at 0, 0, 0. Right? It's just a cube that doesn't do anything. If I hit play, you don't even see it probably. Well, you see it from the side because the camera's in its default position is kind of boring. So I usually, what I do is I just make my camera like isometric view so that I can see the 3D world. But basically,
Well, you're just changing that top. I'm sorry to cut you off. You're just changing that top right thing, the little, the YZ. When you just change the camera
transform. So the transform is basically the physical location and direction of any object in your scene. So position is where. So like if I look at my cube, it's at 0, 0, 0 position. Rotation is, obviously which way is it rotated?
Yeah, I understand all that. I mean, if you want to tell people watching, you can keep going. But I'm talking about more than when you said isometric. What did you change? You just changed the gizmo thing
I
on the
just
top
moved
right.
where the camera is and where it's pointing. So like when you hold down the right mouse and you kind of pan your camera around, right? Like I'm doing here. I just get it to a view that I like.
So you can actually like play around with the cube. Got it.
Yeah, I like viewing it from the top at an angle, kind of that isometric view. I just like that.
But your camera needs like a camera follow script, right? You got to add that in there.
Yeah, if you want your camera to follow, you have to add a script to it.
And that's something you have to do from scratch. But
not every game you need to do that.
No. No, but for the game I'm talking about, obviously you'd be following your truck and you'd have some like LARPing in there or like easing where it's, not 1-to-1. You can catch up to it, right? And that's all in there. I think I've done that before.
Yeah.
I think I did it with that skateboard game I showed you. Yeah.
I think Unity actually offers, if you go to the Unity store, there's a free smooth follow camera script out there.
Okay. You can remember that.
If you just asset store, look up smooth follow, there's probably dozens of them. So you don't even have to invent that yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been done to death.
But so far what you've done here is nothing. You basically opened up, added a cube.
Opened it up, threw a cube in. That's it.
Okay.
That's all I did. And
now, all that lighting stuff that Ryan does, that's beyond your pay grade at this point, or how to do some of that stuff.
A little bit with that. There's some like post processing and stuff like that happens. And the post processing package is really intense. He's obviously very good at it. I'm not very good at it. The most I can do is enhance colors.
Okay.
So I honestly don't even use post processing hardly ever. But yeah, like I said, you don't have to do that. It looks just fine without it. So like, I'll even show you an example here. If I go to my thing, I put my spy car out here, right? There's my spy car. I just drop it in there and I hit play. it looks okay, right?
Mhm.
It's not bad.
Mhm.
It's blocky because that's the style of the pack I'm using. But like the colors are fine, the reflections are fine. You don't have to do all the post processing to make your game good. I'll spin it so I can see it from this side. Right, so there's my model. I don't have to do anything else. It works.
Yeah, your directional light is enough to give you some kind of reflections and
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And
All right.
if I want to mess with it, you can click on your light and you can change the colors and things like that. I do like to make my lights pure white, just because it makes the colors better.
It's funny because
But
my
that's just
artist,
personal.
he says like he like they all like AAA is all about Unreal Engine. Like
Yeah,
Unity
yeah,
is a hog, resource hog. They say it's not as pretty as
yeah.
Unity as Unreal, but I'm not getting into Unreal, man. That's hard
See,
for
when I
me.
talk about people who are like, they have all the things to say, Unity is not as good as Unreal. You know, Unity does this. Oh, you have to do your code that way. Like, I view all those people as like, those are the people that are just nibbling around the edges, right? They're talking about such extreme cases and such niche specific, like AAA level cases that for you and I, who cares, right?
Right. We won't
Do
hit
I
that
care if I
spectrum.
waste 5K of memory? No, I don't care. You know?
That's because you're not porting to a Nintendo Switch right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. If you're porting a Nintendo Switch and you're trying to make a massive game, you probably do care. But like
Yeah.
I said, those people, they're in a different world than we are.
Right.
Right? We're in the solo developer world. So like for us, making it simple and making it so you can understand it really easily and can crank product out quickly, that's where we live.
And I
Like
mean,
we
to be
don't live
honest,
in the nibbling around the
you
edges.
could probably stretch any engine to like look at what
Of
Ryan does.
course.
His games look beautiful. Like the
Oh
things
yeah.
that he did with I was gonna say Retro Bowl with Sunday Rivals
Yeah.
is pretty impressive. Even that helicopter game,
Yep.
he's doing the volleyball game now. Some of those visuals look really good. And I'm a visual, I like visuals. I know it's not the core part of the game, but so right now you're just dropping in
I'm
models.
just
Like
dropping crap out there. Like
yeah,
it doesn't even
I don't
matter.
even care if you put blocks, to be honest with you. I don't care if it's
Yeah,
packages
but
or not.
like that's the funny thing about that's the thing I love about Unity is right. You make your 3D you make your 3D world. You just basically just make it right. And
Right.
there's the female spy. Let's get the guy spy out there. All right, we'll spin him around a little bit. Put the female spy, spin her right. So like I'm just building this 3D world just by putting stuff out there. Right there, I hit play, and you can see it's lit pretty well. It looks nice. It's okay.
And if you
You don't have
wanted
to
a main
overthink it.
menu, you would create what do? You create a canvas?
Right. So here's how the canvas thing works. So now what you'll notice up here is I don't have a canvas and when I hit play, I have no UI, right? It's just the 3D world. In fact, I'll go to maximize on play so you can see this even better.
Yeah, if you don't have UI, it's no
There's
purchase.
no UI. There's nothing.
No buy.
Right.
No UI, no buy.
Right. No UI, no buy. Right. So when I right click here and I go down to the UI button, here's all the UI elements I can do. And
Got
let's
it.
just say I just wanted a button, right? I want a test button to say when I click it, I want my car to move, right? Just to test things. As soon as I click button, obviously you got this text mesh importer because I used a text mesh button. You could just click the import essentials and it'll do it all automatically for you. Close that. But you can see I'm still in the 3D view. So here's my button way over here. And this is where that 2D thing comes into play that you asked about at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
When you click that, it brings you to the 2D view. But not only does it bring you to the 2D view, it brings you to the 2D view from the perspective of looking at your interface.
But the fact that you have to scroll out like that, like how do you know when you're at full screen?
See, that's where I was talking about that trick, right? There, what I do is I right click on my canvas, I add a panel, right? And I just call this background. Because what you just asked is why I do this. And I'll just usually put my background at the top. And then I go to the make it full, like stretch it full size.
Mm-hmm.
So now look at my 2D view. This panel is exactly as big as my screen. when I click play. Right? Panel covers up the whole screen, but I also know, because the panel is stretching to the size of the canvas, I know where the edges are. So if I go to my, right, we were talking about resolution, I go to full HD. Now my panel fills up what full HD is. If I go to 4K Ultra HD, now my panel fills exactly what that is. So that's why I do that thing I was telling you about, where I like to have a background right at the top of my canvas, only because then I know where the screen is.
Got you.
That's,
Where's
that's like my little trick.
Where's that button that you did to stretch it? The on the
Oh,
background.
so you go up here, it's in the transform, right? Because the transform is position, rotation, and size.
Right.
You click on that and you have
That's
all
the
the
bottom
options.
right
Like I
one.
could put it up in the corner, I could put it in the center, but down here is the stretch. These arrows mean stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
I just click that.
and your like gameplay window is where on the where you were doing 4K and everything. Is that where you can control like what your
you go
window
to game,
size is?
and this is where it tells like what is the resolution you're playing at.
And then once you set that, you forget it, right? So you leave it at that unless you want to change
set it at
screens.
this because this is console. 1920 by 1080. It's HD, and it's what all consoles are set at. So it's kind of the default everybody's used to using. That's why I always leave it there.
But if you wanted to make it where you could support other resolutions, would you just do that through code and just switch like the display? But you have to like manage all that, right? Like all your buttons would need to know to move, or no?
Yep, I'll show you how to do that. So I have set up a Steam Deck resolution. The Steam Deck comes out at 1280 by 800, right?
Nice.
So I click that, and you can see my button got cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I placed it in a part of the canvas where the Steam Deck doesn't have.
Right.
So again, what we're talking about is position and size, which is the transform. So we go to the transform of the button, and what I can say is, you know what, button? Instead of placing yourself relative to the center of the screen, which is what it's set at as default, right? The dot in the center of the screen is place yourself in the center and reference yourself from the center. And before I change it, you can see here, right? It's got position X and position Y, which is, again, transform is where are you and how big are you? We are referencing from the center. So my button is -640 in X and -302 from the Y, but I don't have to reference from the center. I can reference from the lower corner. So
what are you pressing that changes the what is that?
Yeah, so there's up here shift.
Oh, okay.
Also set pivot. So I hold shift and it sets the little blue dot as the pivot of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do that. I just do it now by habit. Alt also sets the position. So instead of me typing it, if I hold Alt, it automatically pushes it.
Okay.
Right. So if I hold Alt and I click there, it pushes in that corner, that corner, that corner, that corner, stretch all along the top, stretch on the bottom, stretch on the left, stretch on the right, right? That's what all that means.
What if you click it and you don't do Alt or Shift? Nothing happens?
Oh, no, it still happens. So like, I have it right now. So Alt and Shift, it's referenced to the lower left-hand corner. If I don't hold any buttons, right, it's 0, 0 because it's referenced from right here, right? It's in the lower left corner. So it's 0x, 0y from the lower left corner. If I reference it now from the upper right corner, it doesn't move, but the values changed because it's -1280 from the upper right corner.
Oh, so that's just like the starting point, like the origin of where it lives in the world. Okay.
Now, why does that matter? Because right now we've referenced it from the lower left corner. I hit play. It's in the lower left corner. We like that. That's for the Steam Deck. Now, if I switch back to full HD, it's still in the lower left corner.
But how do you control it where you want to put it somewhere custom? You can drag it now and it'll stay there no matter where you drag it because you've anchored it to the bottom left?
Yeah, so let's say I want to move it. Let's say I want to move it like right here, just a little bit off. I don't want it in the corner. I've moved it 5748 from that corner, right? I hit play. It's 5748 from the corner.
Ah, that's nice. I like that.
I go back to Steam Deck. Boom. Hit play. It's still 5748 from the corner, even on Steam Deck.
Now, let me ask you
resolution.
this. Can you, because obviously Steam Deck screen is smaller
Yep.
or narrow or whatever, can you say like percentages? Because right now, let's say you're going 30 from the corner. 30 from the corner is not the same percentage scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you do that, or you don't know how to do that?
I was actually messing with that this morning. You use these grow ones. So what you can do, it's a little harder because what you'll do is, let's say I want it on the bottom. Oops. So I'm referencing it from the bottom. How does this work? Yeah, it's a little more complicated. You can do it. What you use is
it's not a big deal. I just didn't know if you knew.
Yeah, here. It's not position Y, position X anymore. Now it's left, right, and position Y. Right. So now you're talking, this is kind of where the percentages come from. And then you also, so like if I change the right, it shrinks it now. The left shrinks the left side of it now. So it gets a little more complicated. I've found just using position is a little simpler because then the size of it stays constant and where it is on the screen is controlled by the canvas then.
Okay.
It's just easier for me that way. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a more advanced
Ryan,
question too. Like I'm sure there's
smarter
ways
people get it, but yeah, for me, it's all about like understanding my toolbox really well and then just using that to crank game out.
But if you wanted to do a UI element like the picture I was showing you, you want to do like a fuel gauge or something, just an informational, type of UI element. What would you use for that? Just text? I mean, obviously there's a mixture, but if you want to have a graphic that actually like a bar that actually fills up, like what would you use for that?
So here's how I would build a bar that fills up. First, I always start with a panel for everything, just so I know where the bounds of the thing I'm doing. So I'm going to turn my canvas off. I'm going to make it clear. Actually, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to make my canvas a weird color just so I know the background is on. All right. All right. So here's how I would make and let's just call it, I don't know what, energy bar. I'm going to name it energy bar just so we know what we're doing here. I'm going to make it that big. What I would do then is I would say, all right, I'm going to take another panel in there, and then this is going to be the actual bar itself. And I'm going to size it the way I want. I'm going to call this or I want to call it, right? I'm going to make it black. And I'm going to make it not see-through. Then on that, I would make another bar. Right? This is going to be the actual energy. I'm going to make this bar. I'm just going to dock it to the left because I want, as you lose energy, I want it to shrink down towards the left. And I'm going to make this green. And I'm going to make it not see-through.
Where'd you do the not see-through thing again? Where's that at? The not see-through.
You just go to the color. It's RGBA. It's just simple, like RGBA is the alpha.
But where was the not? Oh, that's right there on the bottom. Oh, okay. You're just doing the alpha. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's it.
All right.
And now what I would do is I would have a little script on energy bar that basically said, whatever my energy is, just shrink this bar. Right. And then I'll turn the alpha down on this now that I don't need to see where.
Like what if I wanted to, like, you click the screen or you click the bar with your mouse and it lerps all the way up to the right and lerps all the way back down when you click again? Is there how would you, like from a script standpoint, how would you do something like that?
If I did, say that again.
You just click on the screen or click on that button. Let's say you click on the button in the bottom left.
Click on the button.
And then the bar slowly, like when I say like eases up and then eases back down, do you have something that you use for that, or you got to find an easing script? And when I say easing, I mean like not like boom, 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 up. I'm talking about like it like starts out fast and slows down, or like has like a nice movement to it. Do you have
Yeah.
anything that you use for stuff like that, or no?
I don't yet. What I would probably do, you'd need a script for that, and you would need a script that runs on the update. So update, for people who don't know. In fact, I'll just throw a script on this just so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll add a.
I know you have
What
like your what your
am I doing?
update, your
Oh,
create, is it your create or your start? You have different
I'll add a new
events or whatever.
script, and we'll call this script energy bar. All right. So we'll go to the script, and this is another kind of key Unity thing, right? Every time you start a new script, you get start and you get update. Right? Start is what happens the first time, like basically when something loads, like the first time it shows up in your game, start happens. Update happens every single frame. When you're talking about, I'm zooming a little bit here. So when you're talking about moving things smoothly up and down, what you're talking about is changing the dimension of it every single frame. And that's whatever that is is going to go in the update. So you're going to need some sort of like controller code to say, start it. I would do something like this. This is obviously is not going to work, but it would be something like this. I would do like a float total time equals like 2 seconds. Okay. And then I would say float size per second equals, I don't know, whatever, 10 pixels. I don't know. And then somewhere in the update, I would do like if, and then I would do, you need something to hold the current time. So current time, I would say is something in the update. It would look kind of like this. You would obviously have more code in there, but the general gist would look like something like this. If current time is less than total time, the we'll just call it bar. I need to have a bar. Need a bar, a reference to that energy bar. So bar dot width transform dot width, no, length, no, x, whatever. Transform dot. I'm going to pseudocode this because I don't want to set up all these variables. It would look like this: bar dot width equals bar dot width plus size per second
Times total time or something.
Divided by total time.
Divided by total time.
Right.
Now, how does the game object bar connect
It
to
would
the
be something
actual
like
bar itself? Like, where's that connection going to be made?
Right. So if I did this, let's make this public. You have to kind of make this public to make it easy. And again, the programming elite would probably get mad at me for making so many public variables. But the thing is, there's bar, right, on my script now because I made it public.
And you just drop
it's a game object. So I just drag my game object on it. There you go.
Okay.
There's the reference.
That's right. I remember that now. So that's how you kind of like connect the two.
Yeah, and the game dev purists, the AAA dorks, will complain all day about making stuff public because of code reuse and blah blah blah. But you got to remember, they all have teams of like 100 people working on the same code. For solo developers, you don't need to overthink this. You need to make it easier for yourself.
Yeah, it's all about protecting.
Easier for the world.
Right. It's all about protecting. Like if you call a class a certain name and you don't want to have like you call that class somewhere else, you don't want to like run into some kind of collision. And I get all that. But if you're smart with what you do, you don't need to get. Like for all my editors,
this stuff.
Like all my code I ever did, I didn't care. I wasn't great at like I knew when I had to use it and when I didn't, and I would use it when I had problems, like static. I mean, I know static is a little bit different, but like
I use statics all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you use statics for so people can
So
understand?
my favorite place to use, so this is what I'll do. I'll actually show you. I'll do it right now. So every game that I make, I start off creating a game object, just an empty game object called global variables. Right? And I drag it up to the top because this is the thing that controls my whole game. Within global variables, I'll create a script called, I sometimes just actually call it global variables. And in this script is where my statics go. Now delete all this nonsense. And this is where I do things like this: public static int current game week. Right. So now anywhere in my game, I can go to global variables and say, what is the current game week? And it's always simple. It never gets complicated. I can find this variable anywhere in my code at any time. So I use statics for things like that, things that I know I need a lot of, and I don't need it. Like I don't need different versions of it in different scripts. Um,
So you
and
get you
I
access
use
it again by doing
tons of
what?
them.
Global variables dot current game week, or how do you get to it
How
again?
do I get it? So
Yeah.
let's go back to energy bar.
Mm-hmm.
Let's delete all this crap because I'm probably gonna start throwing errors pretty soon. Let's just say I had a public void refresh bar, right? I just had this function, refresh bar. And let's say I needed a global variable in there. All I have to do is go global variables. Because I made a static, global variables now shows up. Dot current game week. It's always there.
Right, because
That's
if
it.
it wasn't static, you'd have to make an instance of it. Is that what that is? I forget what
Yeah,
static is.
exactly.
I haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, if it's not static, if it's just a normal thing, you're right. There has to be an instance of it somewhere
You have to like
for you
initialize
to be
it or
able to find
whatever.
it.
Right.
And that instance needs to be public.
Got it.
But because it's a static, I don't need to do that. The other
You
thing I
could
can do,
quickly just grab it by just
I
doing
just
global
grab it. Yeah.
variables dot whatever, and you got it. I got it.
I can do like int, now equals now week equals global variables dot current. Right. Current game week is always available to me because it's a static, and it's just super simple. I also do it for things like this, right? You'll see when I get head coach closer, we can look at it closer, or when it closer to done, we can look at it. But for the in-game field variables, I do things like this too. I'll do public static float, or yeah, I use floats for this. Field width equals 53.5. Right. So now anytime I need to know how I need to check something against the width of the football field, I just pull this. The football field is set up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, the AAA dorks will complain about how I do this and how it's not standard.
Because they want it in a certain
blah, blah.
field class or something,
Yeah,
right? They
like,
want you
I
to
don't really
organize
care
it
about all
different.
that.
Yeah, I got you.
They'll say use constants, use this, use that. Like, I don't care about all that. All I know is field width is available to me now, and it's super easy to use.
Now, when you open up a brand new project in GameMaker, is there any weird setting that you have to do, or it's just in the name, right? You put the name in there and that's it?
Yeah, you just choose 3D. Always choose 3D. Don't choose 2D. I don't even know why 2D is an option.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Everything's
3D,
3D anyways, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Choose 3D, type in your name, click start project. That's
Or you
it.
can do everything 2D in a 3D environment. So why go to 2D? That's the
I
theory.
used to start off making 2D, and it just made it more complicated. So now I just do 3D, and if I want to do 2D, I just do it. Right.
And 3D gives you the Z axis, right? You have that X, Y, Z.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think 2D kind of just makes everything look like the canvas.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird. I didn't really love it. So I just do everything 3D.
Let me ask you, like particle effects, you download assets for those, or you do that on your own through
No, I
here?
download those. It's a lot like post-process lighting. There's
Because I hear
many
Unity has great
options.
particle effects, like they're easy to do and they're great. And I didn't know if that was something that.
Yeah, no, they're tough. It's like if I check my I
So these are
actually
your
have,
packages that you've
yeah, these are
purchased
my
or
packages.
downloaded or whatever.
Yeah, I have like thousands of these. Hundred, maybe not thousands, maybe a couple hundred.
290.
Solario, like Epic Tune Effects, it's just a particle effect pack. Polygon Arsenal is a particle effect pack. Right. So I download, I just buy them on the Unity Asset Store and use them and then tweak the colors or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like post processing. There's just a million things you could do with it. Yeah, here's the projectiles.
That's cool.
There's a million things you can do with it, and I don't want to spend months
No.
learning the nuance of it when I
Right.
could just buy it for $10, you know?
What's that YouTube video show you? It takes you to YouTube, or that's just a picture there? Let me just see that real quick. Nice.
Yeah. And I'm like, why would I spend all the time in the world learning how to do this when I could just use
That's why
this,
so many
guys?
people use Unity. You know, it's like everything is a lot of it's plug and play in a sense, where it's
Yeah.
like you don't have to do all that AAA like lifting is done for
Like
you.
this one right here, this fire one. That's good for any game I would want to make that uses a fire
Dude,
gun.
that's exactly like the image I was just showing a second ago.
Yeah.
We had up.
So
this
why
image
would I
right
take
here.
the time to learn how to do this when I could buy this for like $10?
I could probably get like in the image. I don't know if you could see it on my screen or not. I think you could. Well, I don't know how that works for you, but if you're on YouTube, you could see it. But the image of the truck shooting, like that exact fire,
Yep.
like those bullets, and even the lighting. Does that come in something I could download, or do I have to find a way to recreate that crap?
No,
It's happening right there. I see. Okay, I see lighting there too.
Now.
Nice.
Yeah, these particle effects come with their own lighting, because the guy who made this pack, he knows what he's doing. I don't know what I'm doing, so I just trust him.
So what do? You download that and then just drop it in, and like
just drop it
into
in.
like when you push a button on an object, like it would shoot that out or something, or is that hard to like connect?
A lot of these guys, like this one right here specifically, he also provides the scripts that shoot and the scripts that have the impact. So you can see when it impacts, it fires a different effect. He also provides the scripts for that too. So like literally I just download it, drop it in, tell my tank or whatever, hey, when you want to use this shoot script, and that's it.
Right. I'm getting excited about using
amazing.
this. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Look at this stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, I might need to
This is why I love Unity, is because there's talented people out there who are providing you awesome shortcuts and awesome assets for a super reasonable price.
It just sucks because I'm so comfortable with Game Maker now, and I'm not a pro at all. I still have to look at tutorials. I still have to but like it's funny because when I was working on the game I'm working on now, I mean, I've done a few prototypes over the past couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, they've been really quick little basic ones, but it's kind of cool to go through the motions and you get better and better. And I always find myself like looking for tutorials, like, okay, how do I shoot a weapon? You know, like, and I look for tutorials or like something with whatever it is. And it dawned on me, it's like, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I said, you know what, Havo, just start, like, just how would you do it if you had no reference? And it's amazing what you can do. Like I started doing stuff and I'm like, I don't need a tutorial. Cause by the way, half of those, most of them, 90% of it, you're not going to be able to like fit into your projects. It's like a one-dimensional type of perspective. And I'm like, dude, you know how to use Game Maker, you know how to code, you build a football game with it. Why are you like, why do I always have to be like spoon-fed things? Just like sit down and figure it out. And I started to figure stuff out and I'm like, this is the way I need to start doing it, because I find myself, and like with Legend Bowl, I'm already at that point, right? The game is so far that I just do things myself. I don't have to worry about looking up. But in the early stages, you know, I always find myself saying, okay, how do I start this, right? How do I, and I think a lot of people probably have that same feeling, but then you also have to get to a point where you jump off the ledge and you're like, I'm going to figure out a way to fly. And you do it on your own and you start to realize, man, I know a lot more than I thought I did, you know? And I know it sounds kind of like weird, but
where I keep championing this idea of don't overthink it, right? You can make a whole game with buttons, text, and panels. You don't need any more than that.
Right.
Use the tools that you're comfortable with and then slowly add new tools as like, like for me, buttons and things, I've done so many buttons and panels and text that like I don't have to think about that anymore. So I add a new tool in, and then I get really comfortable with that, and then I add a new tool in. Like the AAA dorks out there that you'll see will complain that you haven't added every single tool that exists in from day one. It's like that's not realistic. Just Unity is really cool because it makes it simple to just do what you're good at. You could make a game with a limited toolbox, and then as you get better, add more tools and make better games. But you don't have to know everything right away.
I really think I'm going to try to make that game, man. And we'll see. So I showed a screenshot of it.
Yeah.
So whoever caught it saw what I might do. I need to talk to the artist that I'm working with, my guy, and go from there. But I don't want to take any more of your time, bro. It's an hour and
Cool.
20 minutes in. I
Yeah.
appreciate you helping me, and it taught me a lot. And then I'll probably shoot you some questions here and there. But I'm probably gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. But I think
You know what might be
Unity.
fun is once you get started, if you trip up on any specific subject, and I'm just going to throw this out there, like 3D movement, because that's a tricky subject, and there's too much information out on the internet. Maybe we do another little dev collaboration session, and I can prepare a couple of simple scripts about 3D movement, and because there's so many different ways to do it. There's a couple really easy ways though. Um, and there's some really hard ways, and maybe we could do another one of these about that or something.
Yeah, we could do that. One of the most important things that I've realized, like for making these different games, is I think now people buying your game and supporting that's a whole different topic. So I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
like how that actually happens. And but I do know that the core mechanics, like if I'm making a truck game where you're a top down type of truck, you know, gameplay type of controls, you want them to feel really good, man. Like it takes a lot of work to make a smooth, polished movement system. And I know you're talking about the basics here, but I really want if I
yeah.
work on it, I know I'm going to spend quite a bit of time. Like I did with the football game, I did a lot with like the ball physics and the way the players move, and it's not perfect because I'm not a genius, but that's a really important piece for me. So I think I would start out with getting truck and control move, all that stuff figured out, and it might take me a couple weeks, 3 weeks. I don't even know how long it would take, but that stuff takes
Yeah.
time, right?
Or like if you want to use gamepad control, like we can do another one of these on the new Unity input controller. It's super easy. Like again, the dorks out there will complain about it. It's so amazingly easy once you understand
And
it,
that's a
though.
package you're downloading?
Yeah, it's another Unity. Unity is upgraded how they do gamepad input.
Okay.
Um, it honestly it's so easy to use, but the dorks complain about it. Like they complain about everything.
But
But
does
we
it
could do a
have
video on that too, and then show how that
yeah.
can move your trucks and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanna save you time too. I don't wanna have you sit here and spoon feed me everything, and I know
Well, I
we're
mean, if we did another one, it'd be just like this, right? It would be like concepts and ideas and like reinforcing the hey, don't overcomplicate it. There's simple you can do this in a simple way. The dorks will get mad at you, but it's okay, right?
so
Gamepad puts the same way, 3D movements the same way. We can make it simple,
if you
and then you can
download
improve on it later.
okay. If you download the gamepad manager, does it work with like I know in Game Maker, I have to trust me, everything has to be done from scratch pretty much, but I do it to where when you touch the mouse or the keyboard, that takes over and that starts to be your controls. And then when you touch the gamepad, like that takes over. Does that gamepad package thing or manager, does that I guess
You can have them all work at the same time.
you can.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
done like if I download that package, would I have to do the mouse and keyboard stuff on my own, or does that handle that as well?
That'll handle it as well. Yep.
Do you
And
have a
you can
link?
actually have it set up so you have different inputs that either are all active at the same time or that you can switch them at will.
Do you have a link for that, or I can just look up gamepad
Yeah, when you
manager?
go into Unity and you go in the package manager,
Hmm.
um, go to the Unity packages and just type input in the search, and it might be the only one in there.
So in the asset store, or you're talking about
So go to the package manager in Unity,
oh,
right?
you got to go in
Because the
Unity.
asset store doesn't work anymore. That button that says package manager is the only one to use.
Mm.
Go to the drop down box where it says like in project, Unity registry, my assets, where you get to tell it where to search,
Hmm.
and then just type input in the search bar,
Inputs. Okay. All
and you
right.
should see the input manager pop up.
All right. Cool, man.
And that just if you once you install that though, the old input manager doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you like only use that if you're going to use gamepads.
And that Brackeys guy, that channel, I know he's not doing it anymore, but that has a ton of tutorials, right?
Yeah, I use I keep telling everybody everything I know about Unity comes from Brackeys.
Those were great. Those were great. And I know he stopped doing them. So.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but they're still relevant. Most of them are still relevant.
Oh, I'm sure, right? Because I mean, has it changed that much? Has Unity
It hasn't changed that much? No.
Yeah, because I know Game Maker, they flipped everything on its back, so a lot has changed. But all right, dude, I'll let you go, man. Enjoy your day. If you do a bike ride, have fun, and we'll do these soon again.
All right,
man. Later, bro. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Whoops. Thanks, guys, for watching. This was a tutorial type of thing. I figured we'd stream it for anybody else who might want to learn how to get started with Unity, and I think it's cool because we got a lot of information from Sean, and we're all done with the video. Obviously, I'm just kind of wrapping it up here. So for anybody who watched it, let us know if you like these, because we were going to do these just offline, this video, and we figured we'd include it for those who might want to watch it. So for everybody who came through, leave a comment. Let us know if you enjoyed it, and if you did, what you might want to see in the future. And if you haven't made a game or messed around with games, when I say made a game, I mean started a game, because making one is a whole different thing, right? Finishing one. But if you want to get somewhat familiar with, it's fun. It's fun. You can create some pretty cool things. So I suggest that if you do have an interest, pick up Unity, Game Maker, whatever, and try to have some fun with it. And like I said, let us know if you guys have anything you want us to show in the future. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.